Ooh, she's a little bit wet. It's always a bit of fun. Melbourne. Big autumn raindrops. So I've got an interesting topic for you today, and it's one that I am sure is likely to cause a little bit of controversy or discussion, and it's rubbers. Well, to be more exact, your tyres, and what tyre pressure you should be running them at. It's been one of those age-old mysteries. Some people believe in one thing, another person will believe in another thing. Should you be running them stock, as it says on the side? Should you be running them a lot lower? Should you be running them higher? I'll tell you a little bit about my experience, and I do this because of the change of weather. Now generally, I guess it's going to depend on a number of different aspects, not least of which is going to be what type of bike you've got and what type of rubber you're running. So really, it's one of those type of things that you just might have a bit of a personal preference, and no two people's advice are going to be the same. I mention this because of the change in wet weather, because I'm wondering, is it something that you should perhaps reduce your tyre pressure a little bit, give you a little bit of a softer tyre, a bit more rubber against the road, or by doing that, is that actually counterproductive? Do you end up causing worse traction and not actually being able to hold the road as well? Now I know it's one of those things that people will argue about, but I have had a couple of examples where I've pumped my tyres up on this bike, and these are Dunlops, and I've gone a little bit higher on cold pressure than what was recommended, and then hence went and did a nice ride, some nice beautiful twisty turns, come up to my first almost hairpin, and the rear end just slid out from under me, and I wasn't even leaning it over that far, and it seemed that I'd overinflated the tyre. On the way back down, I reduced the air pressure and found that it held the road much better. And I was speaking to a guy that I was riding with, and he swears that no, you never do what the recommended tyre pressure is, because it's just too high. He said even when I'm at the track, I'm riding at a pressure that's lower than recommended, and he does that at a hot weight, hot pressure. So don't know, it seems to me to be, you really need to be either spot on or pretty damn close if you want to ensure that you got good contact. Of course, the opposite thing is, if you're not got the correct amount of pressure, then you may well end up with a lot more roll on your tyre, and that can be just as bad as not having the right level of contact patch. Now I'm sure there are plenty of other factors there. It seems to me like your best bet, generally speaking, is to look at doing a tyre pressure which is pretty much spot on the recommended pressure, or maybe a couple of psi below. Once your tyres come up to temperature, the air is going to expand. Now speaking of air temperature, the air temperature here has dropped a bit in the past couple of months. So this is another thing that I'm thinking about. What impact does that have on your tyre? Should you be pumping up more in your tyre pressure because the air that was in there has contracted? Should you leave it as it is? Should you release some, as I mentioned earlier? It's really a bit of a quandary, I think. And as I said, there's so much information out there, so different for all the different people involved. So some people think one thing, other people think another thing, and it's hard to get a bit of a straight answer. But I thought, I'll raise the question here anyway, because I know my lovely subscribers are full of opinions and love to tell me exactly what should be done in the real world. So I put it to you guys. Should you be running your tyre pressures at the recommended tyre pressure, below the recommended tyre pressure, higher than the recommended tyre pressure? Have you got specific examples perhaps where you do one and not the other? What's your opinion? Let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to get back to this horrible wet traffic in Melbourne, and hopefully I'll get home in one piece. See you guys.